your eyes now, but I know there's always a way. From sunrise till dawn, I'll be here waiting. From sunrise till dawn, I'll never stop. I'll fix you up, make everything much smoother again. I'll fix you up, from sunrise till dawn, my friend. I'll fix you up, with these hands and hearts so true. I'll fix you up, Daniel, I'll fix you up. The connections might be tangled, the power source has lost its spark, but every wire tells a story, and I can mend what's torn apart. From sunrise till dawn, I'll be here waiting. From sunrise till dawn, I'll never stop. I'll fix you up, make everything run smooth again. I'll fix you up, from sunrise till dawn, my friend. I'll fix you up, with these hands and hearts so true. I'll fix you up, Daniel, I'll fix you up. When the current isn't flowing, when the signals disappear, I'll be here with tools and patience, make the static crystal clear. Every cable, every circuit, every problem that you bring, I'll restore what time has broken, make the whole world sing. So don't you worry about tomorrow, don't you stress about today. I've got maintenance for your troubles, and I'll chase them all away. I'll fix you up, make everything run smooth again. I'll fix you up, from sunrise till dawn, my friend. I'll fix you up, with these hands and hearts so true. I'll fix you up, Daniel, I'll fix you up. Hey, Daniel, everything's good as new. Hey, Daniel, I'll fix you up for you.
Well, welcome to a new channel and a new life. I just had to get away from that old because it was trashed so bad. So what this channel is about is real court cases and with real judges. I hope that you guys really enjoy this content. And I hope that if you enjoy this content, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and hit all notifications. And then that will help this channel grow. So today is, as we keep on going on schedule here, today is Judge Stephanie Boyd. And this is a continuation of the last time that we did this. Share screen. Share. Make this bigger.
Recess until the jurors are. We're back on the record.
Thank you, Judge. Yesterday, outside the presence of the jury, there was discussion regarding the extraneous act of my client allegedly using methamphetamine, and the testimony the state wanted to elicit, and in fact did elicit. And and there was discussion regarding 404B, et cetera.
Yes.
And I asked for permission to, in addition to what I offered yesterday, to bring and add to the record what I've now marked as Defendant's Exhibit B, and I'll send it to the court. And I've already showed it to the state.
And I think you have Defendant's Exhibit A over there. No, no, no. Isn't there a previously marked defendant's exhibit A?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's everything. Probably this. So I need to mark this C. So for the purposes of the record, A were notes that I received on August. Oh, it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's all I ever got. When I have nothing, it's the same thing I already received. So I don't need to supplement because there was never anything other than what I already offered.
Okay. And that was defense exhibit A?
Yes.
And that's just for purposes of the record?
Yes. I showed it to the court yesterday. It's what the court looked at when the court made its ruling.
Yes.
Was part of the record. And then B was the 404 notice that was filed back on the original case number.
Okay. All right.
Then additionally, I need to make sure I wanted to make sure while the jury's out, regarding the business records affidavits and the discussions we had, I think that, is there in the record a copy of the original records that the court ruled on that ultimately allowed the state to take pages out of?
That is state's exhibit number 62.
But I thought 62 was what's in evidence.
Yes. And the court sustained defense's objection to 61.
Right, but 62 had the pages that you allowed them to remove pages from 62.
Yes. Let me see 62.
So this is what's in evidence, but I want to make sure that what they filed that had the additional pages that you have removed is part of the record.
All right. So then what that can be marked as is that will be marked as 62A. And do you want that to be defense's 62A? I'm
Yes,
sorry, not defense's 62A.
state 62A.
No, that doesn't matter.
Do you have a copy of those?
That's,
Here's this is the copy with everything.
with
Yeah,
everything.
that's what I want.
Check.
I'll give your tabs back. Here you go, that. Here you go, that.
Right.
That. Let me give you your flip.
Cool.
I'm gonna staple it.
Yeah.
And then Daryl, I'm gonna mark this. This is and just so, may I approach the court?
Yeah.
Yes. And here's that.
Yeah.
And let me see that one, please.
Yes, so this you can, if you'd like to compare to see what I services. record.
Yes. Your Honor, if I may,
Yes.
for clarification, I had just made a copy of 62 and had removed the pages that we had spoken about, and then that specific copy that you're looking at should have everything before anything.
All right. And that is correct. And so, counsel, if you want this into evidence, just for purposes of the record, you can label it as 62A or you can label it as a defense exhibit.
I'll label it 62A, but just so the record's clear, this was yesterday when I whenever it was, when I objected to the business records. This is what 62A is what had been originally filed with the documents and then the court allowed the documents to be removed, which then became 62.
Yes.
Okay. $62. Gotcha.
And could I see 62A, please?
Yes.
All right, just so the record is clear, 62A is a business records affidavit as it pertains to Wells Fargo. The pages that the court allowed the state to remove were pages 1 of 1, 1 of 2, and 2 of 2 that have the handwriting of Detective Hines on it. After those pages, there's a page that is entitled Grand Jury Summons, which was the request for the records. And then after that request for the records through a grand jury summons, the records are attached.
Dictionary, so the record
Yes.
number 62A is how they were filed.
Yes,
When they were filed, giving me notice, 62A is how they were filed.
yes, that is correct.
I'm gonna put these over here. And you have 62, I'll put it back over here.
Yes.
Then that's all I have on that,
All right,
which
so,
brings us to 3914.
yes, and who is the witness?
It's Jamie Pomicall and Robert Saylor's vote.
All right, who would you all like to have a hearing with first?
On both witnesses, Judge, pursuant to 3914, the defense filed timely notice for the state to designate experts, and the state failed to properly designate any experts in this case, and therefore the defense has not been properly notified as required by statute and will object to any expert testimony in this case.
All right, response, Sate.
Yes, Your Honor. First, I would respond consistent with Hayden v. State, 66 Southwest. Correction. First off, I would note for the record, both witnesses were questioned pre-trial in Kelly Daubert hearings about their expertise, about the work they did in this case, and were cross-examined by this lawyer extensively in those pre-trial hearings between March of 2020. They finally concluded in December of 2020. And discovery had been made continually throughout that process. Two, I would specifically cite 2024 Westlaw 400-2084, Uarte v. State, originating out of the 399th District Court, where in a matter very similar to this, argument was made about untimely response of the state being served with a notice of expert witness, despite the fact that the state was able to demonstrate and prove they communicated with the defense counsel about the expert witness and is testifying. Ultimately, the trial court in that matter allowed for it, and it was sustained on appeal, principally because the defense's failure to move for continuance waives a claim of harm on appeal. And that is specifically consistent with the existing case law that the remedy for lack of notice as to an expert is a continuance or a recess for the proper interviews, et cetera, on the defense. Not disagreeing with the requirements of 3914 is my argument, simply put, that the spirit and intent of it has been met. I would also add that when we went and interviewed witnesses Saylor and Pomicall ourselves on or about the 11th of August in preparation for this trial, we meet again. I emailed the notes from that interview to defense in interest of meeting our disclosure duties.
All right, any response, defense?
No, Judge, I've made my objection, or I've stated my notice of lack of. I've stated my objection to lack of notice.
All right, that will be overruled. Call your witness for the hearing, please.
Hearing for the testimony.
Yes.
Okay. We call.
Real quick, I guess. Yeah, just let the record reflect that prior to the trial, in a pre-trial hearing, the court has already conducted at the defense request, the Daubert v. Kelly hearing. So I'm not requesting any further hearings on that evidence.
Okay.
And the record That is already part of the record from this trial as it was under this case number.
And that is correct. And that was in the form and a pretrial hearing.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And the court had made its rulings on that, and those rulings will still stand, which is they're experts in the field in which they're offered.
Yes, I don't request any additional hearings on that.
Okay,
Okay, thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Your Honor.
all right.
I believe we are ready to proceed.
All right, could you bring the jurors in, please? We're ready, yes.
All right, to the jury.
Whatever you gave me on August 11th, I
It'll be the,
have November 21st.
okay. I'll run my email.
You said August 11th.
All right, everyone, please be seated. State, call your next witness.
Your Honor, the state calls Jamie Elmacall.
All right, if you can raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can lower your hand. There's a square gray microphone up there. If you'll place that somewhere on your square.
Like this. Oh, okay.
Yes, if you place it somewhere in your jacket or top, it's for the court reporter to hear. If you can state your name for the record and spell your last name, please.
Yes, my name is Jamie Pomikal, Pomikal.
State, you may proceed.
Ms. Elmacall, what do you do for a living?
I'm a forensic scientist at the Bexar County Crime Lab here in San Antonio.
And could you just illuminate the jury, what does a forensic scientist do?
So I work in the serology DNA section where we screen items of physical evidence for biological materials such as blood, semen, and saliva. And then we can conduct DNA analysis on the biological material and compare it to a standard taken from a person.
Right, and to become a forensic scientist, what type of education and subsequent training, bless you, subsequent training do you have to have?
So we have to have a bachelor's of science at a minimum. And then most of our training is at the lab. But we have certain requirements that we have to follow from the FBI.
And specifically your education accomplishments, where's your bachelor's from?
I have a bachelor's degree in biochemistry from Texas State University and a master in pharmaceutical sciences with a concentration in forensic DNA and serology from the University of Florida.
Okay. And how long have you been practicing as a forensic scientist?
Just over 18 years.
And is that all of that been with the Bexar County Crime Lab, or have you also worked in other jurisdictions?
It's only been the Bexar County.
And as a part of your employment with the crime lab, have you testified in courts in this state, federal, etc.?
Mostly with the state.
Okay. Have you ever testified on behalf of the defense?
I believe so, but not many times.
Okay. Do you have, aside from your education, do you have any credentials or certifications?
Yes, I am licensed to practice forensics within the state of Texas. I also have a certification through the American Board of Criminalistics.
Okay. And then the Bear County Crime Lab itself, is it an accredited institution and laboratory that you work at?
Yes.
Accredited by whom?
We are accredited by ANAB.
And what is the ANAB?
That stands for the ANSI, ANSI, National Accreditation Board.
And that's the National Accreditation Board. Do you have any state, does the lab have any state and or regional accreditations or affiliations?
Our accreditation is approved by the Texas Forensic Science Commission.
Okay. And the basis of the Forensic Science Commission is to oversee the standards of criminal investigative labs throughout the state of Texas?
Yes, they also issue our licenses.
And those licenses, how often do you have to renew or apply? Is it you licensed once and that's it, or
We have to reapply every 2 years, although that's changing a little bit based upon some other factors, but it's about every 2 years.
And what type of additional training do you have to maintain proficiency in your field of practice?
We have to have 32 continuing education units based on the FBI, but also based on the Forensic Science Commission.
Okay, and that those 32 credits, is that annually, biannually?
It's every 2 years, I believe. And so that can come from conferences generally.
Okay. And in fact, there's a conference or something happening right now, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
All right. Are all your licenses and certifications current?
Yeah, they are.
Okay. Could you, basically, what is DNA and how do you go about testing?
So DNA is the protein that codes for all other proteins within your body. You inherit half of your DNA from your mom and half from your dad. And it is the transference of all of the protein codes that we have as a human being.
Okay. And is it possible to look, and is the DNA present in that blood, semen, saliva? Those are the primary fluids I heard you mention.
Yes.
Is DNA present in all of those?
Yes.
In just simplest terms, the process, how do you go about determining the DNA of blood or saliva?
So the general process is we take a small cutting or a sampling of the blood stain. In this case, we apply some reagents to it and we break open all of the cells to expose the DNA. We purify the DNA away from all the other cellular components, and then we quantitate it. So we see how much DNA is present in our sample. We then apply some more reagents to make lots of copies of different regions of the DNA. It's kind of like a Xerox machine, lots and lots of copies. And then we can run them on a genetic analyzer to produce a genetic profile.
Okay. And from your experience, within the field of criminal justice, what is the most common way that DNA is obtained? Well, let me rephrase. The jury has already seen evidence of someone being administered a buccal swab. It was defined as a large Q-tip. Is that how you are accustomed to seeing? Is that a common way in which you receive DNA samples for analysis?
Yes, typically from a person, we call it a known standard, and it usually comes in the form of a buccal swab or a blood standard.
And, or otherwise, if one of those fluids, blood, semen, et cetera, semen is that commonly found through sex assault kits?
Yes.
Blood from a crime scene, undetermined value. Do you work with that?
Yes.
So as you examine, typically a buccal swab is taken from a known individual.
Yes,
Is it possible to develop a profile from a known individual and then compare that known profile of the known individual to evidence that's collected out in the field from an unknown person?
yes,
Unknown individual.
yes.
And the purpose of that comparison is to do what?
The purpose of the comparison is to inform an agency, or in this case, a jury, if someone could potentially be a contributor of the DNA that was found on a crime scene evidence.
Yeah. Excuse me, may I approach?
Yes.
Does the crime lab routinely receive evidence from the Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office?
Yes,
How do you document the work you do with the samples that you obtain, be it known or unknown persons? How do you document the work that you do with samples?
we take notes generally, whether that's written notes or digital notes, so that we can keep track of all of our testing and the items that were tested.
Or do your notes ever evolve after your testing's complete?
No,
Do your notes take another shape? Do you produce reports from your notes of the results of your testing?
yes, we do.
I approached the witness yard.
Yes.
Ms. Palmer, I'm showing you what has been marked as state's exhibits number 91, 92, and 93 for identification. Do you recognize 91, 92, and 93 for identification?
Yes, I do.
And what is number 91 for identification?
91 is my forensic serology report issued on December 28th, 2015.
And 92 for identification?
That is my forensic DNA report issued on February 9th of 2016.
And 93 for identification?
That is my forensic DNA report. It is a supplemental report that was issued on February 22nd, 2016.
Alrighty. And the evidence that you looked at for 91, your forensic serology report, is that from the Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office for medical examination number 152243?
Yes, it is.
And specifically, what items out of the medical, it's the sexual assault kit, is it not?
Yes.
And what items of evidence did you examine? Specifically, item 1-1-5, what was that?
That was oral swabs,
And 1-1-6, what was that?
oral smears.
1-1-7, what was that?
Those were fingernail clippings.
Did you also examine some physical evidence that was received from a officer Cynthia Contreras of the San Antonio Police Department? On the, look at item 9 on page 2 of Bruce Raleigh.
Yes, I did.
Item 9-1, what type of evidence is that?
A pair of broken eyeglasses.
Approaching the witness with what has already been marked, the evidence is State's Exhibit number 56. And I'm removing from State's 56 items 56A, 56B, and 56C, which have been previously marked before the jury. Item 56B, can you tell me what type of evidence is that?
Oh, these are swabs that I believe were collected from a deceased person.
Okay. And do you see the medical lab number on them?
The ME number is 15-02243.
And does that match the medical, the autopsy report for the sexual assault kit that you worked on for this case?
Yes,
And does that and do the swabs then correspond to item 1-1-5 on your report?
yes.
What has been marked as 56C? Do you recognize what 56C is?
Yes,
Are they smears from the sexual assault kit for medical examiner's number 15-2243?
yes,
And does that also correspond to your report, item 1-1-6?
yes.
Then finally, item 56A. Does that correspond to item 1-1-7, which are fingernail clippings, the left and right hand?
Yes.
And so these, do you see your markings to reflect your examining them in the course of your work? Thank you. Showing you what has been marked and entered into evidence, the State's Exhibit 90. The label for State's Exhibit 90, what does it read?
The SAP label.
No, just the label of the outer envelope.
One pair of eyeglasses, 4 pieces with apparent blood.
Opening the outer envelope and for an inner envelope. The number written on there?
Yes, exhibit 9-1.
And does that correspond to the exhibit 9-1 that you examined in your report under this case?
Yes, it does.
So showing you what has been marked as State's Exhibit number 88. On the outer envelope for State's Exhibit 88, do you see markings that you made on the outer envelope that are consistent with your report?
Yes, I do.
And what markings do you see for Exhibit 88?
Exhibit 1-8,
Mm-hmm.
which were buccal swabs from RC Curtis.
Okay. And did you open and examine these in your analysis that you conducted on or about December 28th, 2015?
Yes, I did.
Showing you what has been marked as State's Exhibit number 68. The label for State's Exhibit 68. What is it?
Buccal swabs collected from John Daniel Nombrana.
And do you also have markings on the outer envelope for State 68 that match your CIL report and your initials?
Yes, I do.
And so this corresponds with what item on your report, on your serology report?
1-6.
Okay. Showing you what is marked as State's Exhibit number 69A, not alpha. What is State 69A?
Buccal swabs collected from Miguel Rosales.
Do you also see your initials on the outer envelope? And does it correspond with the work that you did in your serology and subsequent reports?
Yes.
And then finally, showing you what is marked as State's Exhibit number 71. What is it? What is its label?
Buccal swabs collected from SP Donald Lee.
Right? And also, do you see writings on the outer envelope for what the work you did in your serology and subsequent reports?
Yes.
And that tracks with your entry as 1-7.
Yes.
So all of these states 60, 68, 69A, 71, 88. Because we have labels, we know the source. These are all known samples, correct?
That's correct.
And from the medical examiner, we have known samples collected from the body of a person identified as Paula Boyd.
Yes, both unknown and known samples.
Thank you. So in what goes into a serology report to develop this report? What type of testing do you do? Well, what's the first item you look at? The rape kit or the items that come from the field?
We typically, when evidence comes into the lab, they're given item numbers by evidence receiving. And so we can either work them in the order that they were put by evidence receiving, or we can work them out of order. It just kind of depends on the case.
Okay. And so on page 3 of 4 in your report, did you test items 1-1-5, which are the oral swabs, items 1-1-7-1, right-hand fingernail clippings, and 1-1-7-2 left-hand fingernail clippings.
Yes.
And the broken eyeglasses, item 19-1. What did you test them all for?
Those were tested for the possible presence of blood.
And what were the results of that test?
They were all positive.
Did you find anything else on items 1-1-5 and 1-1-6?
I also tested the oral swabs, item 1-1-5, for the possible presence of semen. And it was negative. I also examined the oral swabs for the possible presence of spermatozoa, and they were positive for the possible presence of spermatozoa, along with the oral smears 1-1-6.
And those came from the medical examiners, those came from a known person, Paula Boyd.
Yes.
How is it possible to not have semen but have spermatozoa?
So typically, semen is made up of multiple components. There's a liquid component, and then there's the spermatozoa. The spermatozoa are very hardy cells, and they tend to stick around longer than the liquid portion of semen, especially when it's deposited in a body or on a body.
And you also found indicators of presumptive positive test for blood on the glasses, item 9-1.
Yes.
So with those results, what's the next step in the process?
So because my results were positive for the possible presence of blood and also for spermatozoa, I retained those items for subsequent DNA analysis.
And did you also perform that subsequent DNA analysis with the known buccal swabs of Miguel Rosales, John Daniel Nembrana, Donald Lee, and R.C. Curtis?
Yes, I did.
What was the results of your DNA analysis of those items?
Would you like me to read each one?
Well, let's start, we'll go item one by one.
Okay. No, not enough.
Okay. Your Honor, having identified the first and the last leg in the chain of custody, the state would move to introduce into evidence states 68, states 69A, states 88, states 71, states 56A, 56B, and 56C.
Any objection?
I'll have to check them out. I'm good with it. This is already in evidence. These are already, I thought these were already all in evidence. Did the ME, I thought those were already in.
That was Marco.
They just marked them. No objections. But
All right, States Exhibit 68, 69A, 88, 71, 56A, 56B, and 56C are admitted without objection.
So ma'am, turning to your forensic DNA work. In brief, can you just describe the testing that was performed on items 1151, the oral swab tips, and the left and right, and 1171, the left and right fingernail clippings? Were you able to develop, did you find any DNA that was not Paula Boyd on the oral swabs 1151?
Yes, I did.
With the known samples of buccal swabs, were you able to were you able to reach some conclusions?
Yes.
What was that conclusion?
R.C. Curtis was not excluded as a source of the human DNA identified on the oral swab tips, item 1-1-5.1. Miguel Rosales, John Daniel Membrana, and Daniel Lee are each excluded as a source of the human DNA identified on that item.
Now, not excluded. Do you, is it consistent in your field to calculate a probability of finding the profile that you found on those swab tips within a population of individuals of the same racial and ethnic characteristics?
Yes.
And how is that probability generated?
We generate that probability from a database that has frequencies of genetic markers that have been calculated within a subset of the population. And so we can use that to approximate how often we would expect to observe the profile in the population.
And I apologize, I skipped a step. So in your analysis and from the serological report, you found possible spermatozoa in your serology report,
Yes,
but it was an unknown contributor.
that's correct.
So you had to develop a genetic profile of that unknown contributor.
Yes,
And then you developed a profile from the known samples of Curtis, Rosales, Nombrana, and Lee.
yes,
And then you compare those known profiles to the unknown profile from the swabs.
that's correct.
Okay. And so what would then be the likelihood of that known profile of Curtis finding that in a population?
So the statistic that's calculated is based upon the unknown profile that was developed from the oral swab tips. And if I had a population of 9,506,000,000,000, I would expect to see that profile one time.
And by my calculation, that's 18 zeros for a quintillion.
There are 15 zeros in the African American statistic.
Okay. From the glasses, item 9-1. Were you able to make some determinations from there?
Yes, I was.
And what was that determination?
Polyvoid is not excluded as a source of the human DNA identified on the swab tip from broken eyeglasses, item 9-1.1.
Were you able to make some observations from the left hand and right hand fingernail clippings? Did you find anything foreign to Paula Boyd on the fingernail clippings?
I did not identify any foreign DNA, but there was the presence of male DNA that was detected during my quantitation step.
And male DNA on fingernails clippings from a female. What's the next step in the science when you have that situation?
So when we have an overwhelming amount of female DNA, we can actually subject the sample to a different chemistry that only isolates, it only sees the male portion of the sample. So we can isolate out just the male portion and basically ignore everything that's female in a sample. So that would have been the next step in this case.
And what's the name for that type of process where you isolate the male, any possible existence of male samples?
We call that Y chromosome short tandem repeat DNA, or YSTR.
Now, the DNA that you found, the male DNA that you cannot exclude the defendant from, you found on the oral swabs in the sex assault kit.
That's correct.
From your general knowledge, would it be possible for DNA that that's collected on October 22nd, 2015? Could that DNA have existed from approximately 3 weeks earlier, October 1st, October 2nd? Would you expect that to be present and collected on October 22nd, 3 weeks later?
No, I would not.
That just because normal swallowing processes?
Yeah, generally, if you're a living, breathing human being, you're washing your hands, you're taking a shower, you're doing all the things that we do as humans. And DNA doesn't stick around from a foreign source typically that long.
On your serology report, you identified possible spermatozoa, but on your DNA report, you just said R.C. Curtis not excluded as the source of the human DNA. Did you write a supplemental DNA report?
Yes, I did.
And why did you produce a supplemental DNA report?
That was at the request of the detective to clarify where the male DNA came from on the oral swabs.
And your subsequent report was produced on February 22nd, 2016?
Yes,
That supplemental report, was it consistent with the policy and procedures within the Bexar County Crime Lab, the Texas Forensic Science Commission? Did you do anything unusual?
I did not.
From all the samples provided, do you have any unidentified DNA from your analysis?
No, I do not.
Well, it's either Paula Boyd or defendant Curtis.
That's correct.
So, and were all of these reports communicated back to SAPD?
Yes.
Did you submit the result of the fingernail clippings to Mr. Saylor for why strand analysis?
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, with that, I will pass the witness.
Hi, Jamie, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm very well, good to see you again. I've got it all. So, let's start with the sentence at the request to clarify. May I approach?
Yes.
I'm gonna show you what I've marked as defense 5, see if this is what you're talking about.
Okay.
I think you know what it is.
Yes, it is.
So, that's what you're referring to?
Yes.
And it's basically, is it from your bench notes? Or
Yeah,
bench
these are-
notes, or what are bench notes?
Yeah, bench notes are basically just any documentation that we have that has to do with the case. This is a supplemental information form. These were used at the time for conversations or phone calls.
And this one specifically says Hines calls and says, hey, add the word spermatozoa.
That's correct.
And so you said, I'll add that word and I'll file a new report.
That's correct.
And what happens if Hines hadn't called and said, hey, add the word spermatozoa?
Then I would not have a supplemental report.
Okay, so if Hines hadn't called and said, hey, I need something, I need you to add the word spermatozoa, the February 22nd report would never exist, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And let's talk about the spermatozoa that Hines asked you to put in there. How many spermatozoa cells did you actually find?
I did not count them, so I don't know.
I think your bench notes say 6. Does that sound right?
Can I refer to my case file?
Sure. Sperm heads, actually. May I approach again? I'll help you to make it faster. May I approach again?
Yes.
It's on page 2 of 18.
Yes, sir.
I'll show you what I've marked as defense 6.
Yes. Okay, so I did identify about 6.
About 6. Okay.
Yes.
And not only they were about 6, and what did you note about the shape of them?
The morphology was not quite what I would expect for a spermatozoa, but it stained. We stained the spermatozoa to help us see them. Everything else was in line with what I would consider a spermatozoa, except the shape of it.
They appear to be sperm, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And then also, I think you would agree with me that the quality of your result is only as good as the quality of the product you're getting your result from, right?
Yes.
And in this case, your known sample was, in your own words, broken and dirty. Remember that?
I do not.
May I approach?
Yes.
Once again, defense 6. See where it says heavily soiled? Is that what that says?
Which are you
Up
referring
here.
to? Oh, the oral swabs.
Yeah. Heavy in soiling.
One of the swabs was broken, which wasn't a big deal. There was heavy RB soiling, which was heavy reddish brown soiling, which was consistent with blood.
Was that the swab you used, or was that the other swab? If you know.
So I took a cutting from a swab for the initial serology, but then I took I'm going to refer to my notes.
Okay.
I took a cutting from both swabs for the DNA analysis portion.
Okay. And I misspoke earlier, it's actually 5 possible sperm heads.
I believe there were 6 on these swabs and then 5 on the smears that I identified. But like I said, I didn't count all of them because I can't count all of the possible spermatozoa that are present. So I counted what I saw, what I
Okay.
could.
When a male ejaculates, how many hundreds of million sperm come out? Like 2 to 500 million, right?
It would depend on the male.
Okay. Now, you and I have talked in other cases about transfer DNA, right?
Yes, sir.
And you've told me that one of the most common ways for my DNA to get onto you is if we wash our clothes together, right?
I don't recall saying that, and I would not have said that.
If we launder together, if I take off my shirt and wash it in your washing machine with your clothes would have very likely have my DNA on your clothes, correct?
I would say that's actually one of the least transferable ways for DNA to move from item to item. We're adding laundry detergent, which breaks down cellular material. So I would say that it's very unlikely to transfer DNA in laundry if you're washing it.
So you're saying that doesn't happen?
I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying it's less likely than
So-
if you were to sneeze on me, for
Well,
example.
of course, but it'd be one way for 500 million to become 6. Okay.
I would need more context for that.
Well, let's just say I wash my towels with your towels, and my towel is a towel that I've cleaned myself after sex with. And somebody after a couple of guys beat me damn near to death and shove a towel in my mouth, and I grab it with my hand and yank it out. You could have some of my DNA in your mouth or under your fingernails, right? Maybe not a lot, but some.
It would depend on whether it had been laundered or not.
Sure.
It would depend on a lot of circumstances. I
Absolutely.
would say it's possible.
Yeah, the fingernail stuff you didn't do. You did the initial, but not the YSTR, right?
That's correct.
Now there's multiple tests for semen, but you only did the PA, the phosphatate. Which one did you do?
It's an AP or an acid.
AP, acid phosphatase.
Yeah.
But there's multiple other tests. Are there reasons you didn't do the other test?
I actually did 3 different exams for semen. One was the AP, which was the initial presumptive test. I did the microscopic exam for sperm, which was positive. And I did a P30, which tests for a prostate-specific antigen within semen. So I actually did 3 tests.
Do those show up somewhere other than your forensic? Are those not forensic serology tests?
They are. They're in that same paragraph.
So tell me again, I'm sorry, other than the acid phosphatase, which ones did you conduct?
I did a confirmatory for sperm.
I'm talking specifically about semen, if you don't mind.
That's what it is, a confirmatory test for spermatozoa.
Oh, okay.
And a P30,
P30.
which is a prostate-specific antigen test for semen.
And is it just those 2?
3.
Okay, so the confirmatory, the P30, and then the AP.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Now, these tests that you've run, they were run when, 2016?
December 8th, 2015.
15. Has science evolved since then?
There are processes that we do differently now, but the general basis of serology and screening is the same.
And just to make sure I understand what you said earlier, if Hines hadn't told you to write another report with the words spermatozoa, you would not have.
I would not have, but it was an option to put it in the report in the first place. I just didn't.
Tell me about the comparisons you made against Antonio Pena and Antonio Jones.
I did not have any standards from those people.
The database you used in 2015 has transitioned to a new database. Is that correct?
We have transitioned to a new database.
But the statistics you gave us are based on the 2015 database, correct?
They're based on a 2017 FBI database. That was just a choice of the laboratory. It was not because there was anything wrong with the database.
Okay, now you talk about the laundry, and you said one of the things it would dilute and maybe change 500 million to 6, but what if I just put my dirty laundry in the same hamper with your dirty laundry and there's no, that would increase the likelihood of transfer, correct? Without the washing cycle.
It would depend. If you just throw it on top and it's just skin cells, then the transfer would be very little. If it was a wet biological material, the transfer would be, the potential for transfer would be higher. So it also depends on circumstances.
That's all I have, Judge.
State.
Looking at your laboratory notes, counsel referred to the observation you made, 6 possible sperm heads, odd morphology, but appear to be sperm. Are there 6 possible sperm heads? That's potentially sounds like it's maybe a small number. Is that significant?
It's significant in that they were present, but the quantity is not necessarily significant.
Could biological factors in the contributor of the sperm heads, could that also be a rationale for, be it the low number or morphology?
Yes,
Can taking substances add changes to the body's natural function in the fluids, like ice or methamphetamine use? Could that have effects on the biological functions of the body?
I'm not an expert in that field, so I can't comment.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Nothing further, Judge.
All right, is this witness excused?
Yes, Judge.
All right, thank you. If you'll leave the little square microphone behind, please. State, call your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. Second call, Robert Sailors.
If you can raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I did.
All right, you can have a seat. And if you'll take that square silver microphone and put it somewhere on your tie or lapel, it's for the court reporter to be able to hear.
Remind me to take it off.
I will, or either the court reporter will. All right, if you'll state your name for the record and spell your last name, please.
Yes, my name is Robert Sailors. My last name is spelled Sailors.
All right, state, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Sailors, where do you work
I work for the Bear County Criminal Investigation Laboratory.
and what capacity?
I am one of the supervisors in the forensic biology unit.
Are you also forensic scientist?
I am.
Now, as your capacity as supervisor at Bear County Crime Lab, what are your duties?
Well, aside from doing forensic DNA casework, most of my duties these days center around training, budgetary related matters, but I still perform casework in forensic DNA.
Because you have some kind of more, like, for lack of a better way, saying management type duties now, correct?
Another hat.
Yes, I see. So what type of educational background do you have to be in your position?
I have a bachelor's of science degree in biology from Texas Lutheran University. And I have a master's of science degree in biotechnology from the University of Texas at San Antonio.
And I believe I neglected to ask you, how long have you been at the Bear County Crime Lab?
Almost 28 years now.
And as your in your career as a forensic scientist, has it been entirely at the Bear County Crime Lab?
I had a brief departure in 21 where I went to work for the state for about 10 weeks and came back. It wasn't for me.
Okay, yeah, Miss San Antonio.
Yes,
So you said 28 years.
yes, sir.
And so I assume you've testified in court on numerous occasions.
I have, yes, sir.
Have you testified for both the state and defense?
Both, yes, sir.
Have you testified in state court as well as federal court?
State court only. I don't believe I've ever testified in federal court.
And you know, you probably don't keep a running track, but on how many occasions have you testified roughly?
I would have to just make a best guess here, probably somewhere between 200 and 300.
Now, what type of certifications do you maintain?
I am board certified by the American Board of Criminalistics in forensic molecular biology, and I am licensed by the state of Texas as a forensic DNA analyst.
And what is there any type of continuing education requirements that you have to meet to maintain your certification and license?
Yes, there's multiple reasons why we need to maintain our continuing education. One of them is the quality assurance standards to which the laboratory is held to. The other one would be my personal certification, as well as the Texas licensure requirements. They all require continuing education.
And are you current on all those levels and educations?
I am, yes.
Now, Mr. Sailors, I'm going to direct you to the time period of February 2016. Were you working in your capacity at Bear County Crime Lab as a forensic scientist?
I was.
Did you prepare a report detailing the results of any type of examination that you did, specifically on February 24, 2016.
I did, yes, sir.
And I should say that February 24, 2016 is when the report was prepared, correct?
Correct. That was the date that the report was finalized and released.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Mr. Sailors, I'm going to show you what is marked as State's Exhibit 94. If you could please look at that. Is that a copy of the report that you tendered pertaining to this case and from the San Antonio Police Department?
It is, yes.
Okay. And for the record, what SAPD case number it pertains to your report that was assigned?
The SAPD case number on my report would be 15228265.
Now, I also see that there's a separate number called a CIL case number. Well, what is a CIL?
Well, CIL stands for Criminal Investigation Laboratory, and a CIL case number is a unique case number that we assign to a case when it comes in, and it would be unique to this agency number. So, for instance, if we receive evidence, when we receive.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you could step outside for a minute. It's a glitch in our system. It's not anything else. So we'll have IT come and take care of it. All right, everyone, please be seated. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm told that IT has resolved the issues. All right, State, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Now, Mr. Ferris, I believe where we left off, you just explained what a CIL number was in regards to what the Fair Training Crime Lab does and the uniqueness of that. Now, in this case, you were not the only analyst that dealt with specifically CIL 15-05788, correct?
That is correct.
Who was the previous analyst who did both serology and DNA testing?
That would have been Ms. Jamie Pomacall.
Now, did you perform a subsequent test based on the DNA extracts that Ms. Pomacall was able to gather in her DNA analysis?
I did.
Now, what type of tests did you perform?
I was requested to perform what's called YSTR analysis. Then that technology focuses on just the male DNA that's found in a sample.
And if you could explain to the jury, I know that it was obviously it's part of the title YSTR. Why is it Y as opposed to X?
So it's called YSTR because the markers that we're looking at are on the Y chromosome, which only male individuals have. And this is often the type of analysis that might come into play when you have a type of sample that has a large amount of female DNA in relation to a small amount of male DNA. That is normally would be kind of masked by the female DNA, but allows us just to focus in on the male portion.
Okay, and I guess can you provide an example of kind of when you said that there's a massive amount of female DNA, like how would you be able to isolate just the male DNA within that sample?
So I'm real big on analogies. So I would say, take for instance, you have a giant jar of red marbles. And within that jar of red marbles, there might be 1 or 2 blue marbles. And if every time you reach into that jar to grab a handful of marbles, you're pretty much just getting all red marbles. You're never going to find that blue marble. It's similar to what's going on in this type of analysis. So the male DNA in this case would be kind of like the few blue marbles that are in a jar full of red marbles, which would represent the female DNA. So what that does is it specifically targets just the male DNA on the Y chromosome, ignoring the rest of the DNA that's there.
I see. And Mr. Sailors, you received certain, as I believe I called it earlier, the DNA extracts that were gathered by Ms. Pomacall, correct?
They were created by her, yes, sir.
Great, I should say yes. And specifically, a 1-1-7-1.1 identified as right hand fingernail clippings DNA extract. That was part of what Ms. Pomacall created.
Yes, sir.
And then similarly, you also received a 1-1-7-2.1, the left hand fingernail clippings as well for the DNA extract.
That is correct.
And did you also receive DNA extracts in terms of known samples through a buccal swab tips?
I did.
And specifically 1-5.1 from Miguel Rosales, 1-6.1 from John Daniel Nambrana, 1-7.1 from a Donald Lee, and 1-8.1 from an RC Curtis.
That is correct.
Now, you said specifically when you're doing this test, the Y chromosome short tandem repeat DNA analysis, you're looking specifically for male DNA, the Y DNA, correct?
That is correct.
And how do you do that? Like, what are there certain points on your DNA extract where you're doing this comparison to look at? I believe what's called a loci.
Yeah, we call them loci, and these are specific markers or regions on the Y chromosome of males. And the way we're able to target those specific regions, almost kind of think of it kind of like a puzzle piece. Like a puzzle only fits in a certain spot. A piece only fits in a certain spot on a puzzle. Well, the same thing's happening with the DNA analysis. We have these small pieces of DNA that are called primers that are designed to go and find a specific spot on the Y chromosome. And it's based upon the sequence of the DNA. And so that's how we're able to focus just on those specific markers of the male Y chromosome.
And what type of device or instrument, I should say, do you use to do that comparison?
So the application of the science would be very similar to, I assume, to what Ms. Pomacall explained prior to this. But in this instance, what I'm going to do is I would take the DNA extracts that were created by Ms. Pomacall, and based upon the amount of male DNA that was on those items that she tested, I then subjected those DNA extracts to a process called PCR, or polymerase chain reaction, where we use our male Y chromosome specific primers to target that DNA. And what we're going to do is we're going to make copies of each one of those regions from the Y chromosome. And every time we make a copy of it, we're adding a small fluorescent tag to it so we can detect it. So basically what happens during PCR is if we have an exponential increase in the amount of DNA that's going to be in the sample. So if we start out with maybe 2 pieces of DNA, and then we go through 1 round of PCR, then we now have 4 pieces. We go through another round, we have 8, 16. So what we're doing is we're making copies of those specific regions of DNA that we're looking at, which are, lineage markers on the Y chromosome.
So first, in regards to the left-hand fingernail clippings, the 1-1-7-1 point, I'm sorry, 1-1-7-2.1. Did you perform that analysis?
I did, yes, sir.
Now, in regards to results as to the buccal swab DNA extract that you had on in RC Curtis, what were your findings?
My conclusions regarding the left-hand fingernail clippings DNA extract is that RC Curtis was not excluded as being a source of the human male DNA identified on that item.
Now, for the DNA extracts of the other known samples from Miguel Rosales, John Daniel Nombrana, and Donald Lee, what were your conclusions?
For Miguel Rosales, John Daniel Nombrana, Donald Lee, the 3 of those individuals were excluded as being contributors to that DNA.
Now, after conducting that test and drawing those conclusions, are you able to assign a certain numerical value as to the amount of people that you might see in a certain population that would have those same results?
We were, or I was.
And could you explain to the jury how is that done?
So since the Y chromosome is passed down from father to son unchanged, it functions as like a lineage marker. You can almost like kind of build a family tree on the male paternal side using the Y chromosome. So that being said, all the males on one paternal line would have the same Y chromosome DNA profile. And so it's different than the other DNA that Ms. Pomacall before me would have testified about, which is like unique to each individual with the exception of identical twins. So what we do in this instance is that since the Y chromosome is passed down in its entirety without any shuffling of the DNA and mixing it up, we take that DNA profile that we've developed and we compare it to a database of male individuals. And we look to see how many times have we seen that profile in that database population of individuals. And based upon the number of observations, that will then get converted into a statistic, even if it's not ever been observed. If there's been 0 observations in the database, we know the profile exists because I'm looking at it right here in front of me. So we'll take the number of observations or non-observations and convert it into a what we call a 95% upper confidence interval number.
And Mr. Sailors, I guess from this database population that you had available to you, how many DNA samples do you have in this from what you're speaking of?
At the time of this analysis, the database that I used was comprised of 25,643 male individuals.
And how many times was that profile observed amongst those 25,643 individuals?
It was observed 0 times in that database.
And you said previously you told the jury, sometimes even if you see 0, you know it obviously exists because you're seeing it, that you apply a 95% upper confidence interval result. And explain to that, how is that calculation done to where you can give a figure in terms of how many times you might see this profile?
So being that the Y chromosome gets passed down from male father to son, it is possible that there are individuals within this database that are related but may not know that. And so to compensate for that and for sampling, I mean, it's a sampling of individuals from the population of 25,000 individuals. We got a country of 300 million individuals. So to account for relatedness in the database and to account for any issues related to the sampling of the individuals, we apply a 95% confidence interval related to how often you would expect to see this profile in a population. And so we would take that 0 observations out of 25,643 individuals, convert that into a 95% confidence interval, which means that the number that I provide, I'm 95% confident that that is close to the true representation of how often that profile occurs.
And based on that calculation that you did, how often, what figure did you come up with?
The 95% upper confidence interval for this profile compared to the database is equivalent to about 1 in every 8,621 male individuals.
Now, did you also do a comparison in regards to 1-1-7-1.1, the right-hand figure photos?
I did, yes.
And did you have a sufficient quantity or quality of DNA to make that comparison? I should say male DNA.
Yeah, at the time of the reporting, this male Y chromosome STR profile was of insufficient quantity or quality for me to form any conclusions about, regarding non-exclusions or exclusions.
And I think that is that part of your practice and part of your discipline that you have to have a certain amount of quality or quantity to make a determination.
Right. It usually, a lot of times it pertains to the quality of the sample, the amount of DNA, and how complete the profile is.
Your Honor, we'll pass the witness.
Did
Right,
you
defend-
do any test on the African Americans, Antonio Pena or Antonio Jones?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Did you do any test on the 2 African American males, Antonio Pena or Antonio Jones?
No, sir, I'm not aware of those individuals.
And you're saying,
Just 1 second.
yes,
If you can, Cindy, did you get that?
No, I didn't hear that question. I'm sorry.
All right, if you can repeat
I'm sorry.
your last question.
Yeah, my.
Oh, I'm sorry, your
my-
previous question.
If you just scoot that mic that's on the desk.
I'm sorry, yes, ma'am.
That'll work.
Did you conduct any test on the 2 young African Americans, Antonio Pena or Antonio Jones?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Now, so you're 95% accurate that 1 out of every 821 people might be this person.
Well, the 95% confidence interval refers to the statistic. I'm 95% confident that 1 in every 8,621 individuals is a true representation of that Y chromosome profile that was developed.
Now, you and I spoke last week about this case, is that correct?
That is true.
And I had some questions about some studies and asking you if you've seen any studies specifically about, different ways that DNA could be transferred. And one of the questions I asked you is if I took a towel, perhaps that I had dried myself off with and shoved it in your mouth, could my DNA end up in your mouth, right?
Like DNA transferring from
From my
Wow.
towel into your mouth. Like, let's just say I'm 2 guys break into your house and they're gonna beat you to death. And to stop you from screaming, they grab a towel that I had dried off with and shove it in your mouth. Are there studies is it possible my DNA could end up in your mouth?
Yes, studies do show that DNA can transfer from one item to the other. But I'd have to caveat that, with each subsequent transfer, does show that there's loss of DNA with each transfer event, but it's possible.
And then you said to me that there are studies, however, about studies like transfer in laundry baskets. That's more well documented.
Correct.
Okay. Now, may I approach Judge?
Yes.
Oh, man, okay, I found it. I'm going to show you what's marked as Defendant's Exhibit number 4. Now, Defendant's Exhibit number 4 is in evidence, and I'm told that this towel down here at the bottom, if I wanted you to test this towel for DNA evidence, could you do that? If you had it?
Yes.
Okay. Robert, it's good to see you again. I think of your 200 or 300, most of them are with me. So it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
That's all I have, Judge.
Any follow-up?
Just very briefly. Mr. Sailor's defense gave you a hypothetical in terms of a towel had been put into somebody else or put in somebody's mouth or whatnot. If that laundry had been left by that individual from over 3 weeks ago, would there be less DNA from just simply destroying off then, or something even if it was spermatozoa after a period of 3 weeks?
Well, I mean, it depends on, I guess, there's things that could happen during that 3-week time period. If the item had not been washed or laundered, the DNA could persist on the item. If it had been laundered and washed, then I would expect to see a decrease in the amount of DNA left behind after it being washed.
And do biological things like saliva, blood, semen, do they degrade?
Do they what?
Do degrade?
Just like over time?
Yes, over time.
They can. It depends on the conditions in which they're in. We have evidence in our possession that is 30, 40 years old that we've been asked sometimes to re-examine, and DNA is stable. But, if it's been out in the sun and the elements, if it's stayed damp and there's bacteria growing on it, there's a lot of factors that can come into play that would affect the longevity of the DNA.
So environmental factors certainly play a role.
Yes.
We'll pass it on.
Nothing further, Judge.
All right, is this witness excused?
Yes.
All
Yes,
right,
Your
you
Honor.
may step down if you'll leave the microphone behind.
Further reminder, Judge.
Thank you. State, call your next witness.
Your Honor, the state rests.
All right, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would step outside, just give us 5 minutes, okay?
Sorry about the comments.
All right, so the state has rested. Everyone may be seated.
See, enjoy the day off.
All right, so the state is rested.
Judge, at this time, on behalf of Mr. Curtis, the defense moves for a directed verdict on all counts. As the evidence stands at this point, there is absolutely zero evidence that Mr. Curtis was in that apartment on that day. To prove any of the counts, they have to place him in the apartment on the 21st of October, the day that Ms. Boyd was killed. There's no evidence of that. Even if the court was to believe Lee and Barnett that the credit cards were given to them. There's no evidence he got the cards on that day. Even if the court was to believe that the DNA came from Mr. Curtis, the state's last witness says that evidence could have been there from October 1st. So there's zero evidence that Mr. Curtis was in that apartment on that day. And that being said, there's no evidence he killed her or had anything to do with her death. That being said, the court is now faced with the unenviable position to grant the defendant's request for directed verdict. And we at this time move for such.
All right, state.
Your Honor, the evidence has shown that the defendant's DNA was found in the complainant's mouth and under her nails. The rest of her body was in such a state as to clearly have had a forceful exchange with someone that caused serious bodily injury that led to her death. What was missing was her identification, her wallet from there. There has been testimony from two individuals saying that they obtained that evidence from the defendant the day after her death. There has been additional evidence proven that on the day of her death, an ATM inquiry was made miles away from her home. The fact that the cards, etc., were never found by police or her family after the place was cleared emphasizes how the defendant obtained them on the 21st, used them at that ATM machine, and did so by battering her body, leaving his DNA on her body on the 21st. That is more than a mere scintilla. That is beyond a reasonable doubt. The state urges the court to deny it.
All right, defense, this is your request. I'll allow you final argument if you have final argument.
Hi, I disagree, and I stick with my original argument.
All right. Defense's motion will be denied. If we could bring the jurors back in, please.
Yeah, if I can have 2 more minutes of the court's time,
Yes.
then I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
All right, thank
May
you.
Mr. Curtis and myself approach the court reporter.
Sure. Or any type of legal case would perhaps want to speak to their attorney before they decided to speak to the court, but that's completely up to your relationship with your attorney. So
Castano for defense.
and are you Kevin Owens?
And so that is what I'd like to address is he is of the opinion because the proceedings are live streamed,
Mhm.
that any statements he makes is him communicating to whoever.
All right,
And so he was asking for an order that he be allowed to speak while in court.
I mean, I'm asking you a question, so obviously I want you to speak. Are you Kevin Owens? That's either yes or no.
Yes.
All right. So there has been a motion to withdraw attorney.
Yes, Judge.
All right.
And so I also followed the motion to modify conditions. I'm not sure whether you want to address both.
Well, let's address the motion to withdraw first, and then we'll see if we get to the other motion.
I've represented Mr. Owens now for just over 2 weeks. We met last week at my office, and during the duration of our my representation, he and I have had differences in regards to how to proceed on this case. There has been, I believe, a strong difference in opinion on how to proceed. He's asked me to do things that I do not agree with. And in that disagreement, because I've not wanted to move forward the way he's asked me to, he's notified me in writing that I was fired. And so he asked me to file a motion of withdrawal, and I've done so. I believe at this point, though, that our disagreements are fundamental and that I cannot ethically represent him.
All right. So, Mr. Castagnon, I believe you're the third attorney on this case.
I believe I'm the second.
The second. All right. I thought there was someone before Miss Gay.
Ms. Gay, and I believe she was the first lawyer on this.
Let's see. All right, can you look in the record and see if Ms. Gay was the first attorney on this case, please? All right. So this is scheduled for trial October 9th. So your motion to withdraw will be denied. Mr. Owens, if you wish to hire another attorney, you're more than welcome to do so. But whoever that attorney is, they're going to need to be ready for jury trial on October 9th. So,
I mean, Judge, I don't believe I can ethically, again, as I stated, represent Mr. Owens. And I believe that eventually he not wanting my representation, I believe that this is an issue that is an appealable issue. And I don't believe that I can ethically be his attorney at this point.
all right, motion is denied. The next motion is the motion to modify or delete bond conditions.
Yes, Judge.
All right. Counsel, you want to address that?
Yes, Judge. We've asked, my client is indigent, as you know, that I have been appointed on this case. And previously, I believe Ms. Gay was appointed. I'm not certain of that, but I do know that I have been assigned to represent him. He's asking that his GPS fees be waived because he is indigent. I did not put this in the motion. I forgot to add this, but I did speak to the state in regards to his request. He also would like to have drug test fees waived because he is indigent. And so he has recently had to provide a drug test, and it cost him $10, and he's struggling to have money. He's not been able to work. The other issue he's asked me to address is that he'd be allowed to have tracking only. And the facts of this case do not demonstrate that he has gone to any individual's business, home. These were all through electronic communications. And so I do not believe that GPS is necessarily something that's going to prevent any of those types of issues. So we'd ask that tracking be allowed. He's been having a difficult time finding employment. And he did recently find employment with Toyota, but his understanding is that he has to have the employer come in and testify as to his employment. And because of that, that was prohibitive, and he was not able to maintain that employment. And so, that condition, if the court does not wish to allow him tracking only, we'd ask that that be removed, or in lieu of in-person testimony, that there be some type of ability for an email with company letterhead or something acknowledging that he has been employed. Because he is indigent, he has not been able to retain his own attorney. He can't afford GPS fees. And so it's important that he gets out there and begin working.
All right. State.
Your Honor, I think that the court wants to waive the fees. I think that's reasonable. With the GPS, we would ask that you keep the GPS the way it is with full house arrest. Code says that the court can make reasonable conditions as part of bail. And I think that's a reasonable condition. We think the defendant has been doing well because of the GPS, not in spite of it. So we'd ask that you keep that in place. The part about the order, the defendant being able to speak in court, I think you addressed that in the last motion, but I mean, we don't have any objection to that. We want to be able to speak while he's in court. And any conditions with employment, I think that's up to you, Judge. So we don't have an opinion there.
All right. Is there anything you wish to add, counsel?
No, Judge.
All right. With regards to his speaking in court, I mean, that's very broad. You don't want somebody to be inappropriate. However, if there's something he wishes to say,
I believe
can't
his concern is also just acknowledging his presence, Judge. So any speech that he made or makes, he was under the belief that he would be in violation of a court order.
No, I never put a court order in place that he could not talk. But I will say this, I can't give you any legal advice, but I know that anyone who had a criminal case or any type of legal case would perhaps want to speak to their attorney before they decided to speak to the court. But that's completely up to your relationship with your attorney. So I think that's overly broad. So I I'm not going to rule on that.
I think he was looking for an order just allowing him to address the court. Should he be asked to speak, asked to announce it present? And if you were to testify, that he'd be allowed to testify.
Yes, of course he can. If he decides to testify, then you're more welcome. You're welcome to testify. That's within your purview to make a decision. A client in criminal court has certain rights. One is whether they enter a plea or not, whether they go to the court or the jury for punishment, whether or not they decide to testify or not testify. So I really don't understand the defendant being permitted to speak while in court, that request, but I'm telling you, you can speak in court. With regards to the GPS fees, I'll ask that those be waived or deferred. With regards to employment, counsel, if the issue with the employers testifying is because there was no documentation that was being brought to the court when there was a issue of whether or not he had employment, and the court wanted to know what employment he had, what the hours were, and what would the job entail. Because of the nature of what he's charged with, the court didn't think it would be prudent for him to have employment where he's not at a stationary place.
And I understand that, Judge. I believe that the facts of the case do not warrant restriction of his movement because he's not been, I believe, accused. It's not alleged that he's been traveling to or anybody's residence or business. And so, I mean, it seems to be just a bit of an overreach in regards to restricting his ability to find employment.
All right, so I'm going to order that he has to provide proof of employment, and that includes his work schedule.
And so just to clarify, when you say provide proof, would an email from the letter or a letter from the employment with letterhead, would that be sufficient proof?
But it'd have to have what his work schedule
Correct.
is. Yes, and counsel, I'll depend on you as an officer of the court to verify that that is
Absolutely.
correct. All right.
Just so I'm 100% clear that you're not requiring that his employer come in and testify to such.
No.
Okay.
And then with regards to him being permitted to speak while in court, sure, he can speak while in court. With regards to tracking only, that's denied.
And I didn't list it in there, but there's space for it if the court approves permission to waive any drug testing fees. I don't know if the court has the ability to do that, but
I will waive drug testing fees. All right. Is there anything else with regards to this motion?
right. And so he has been including me on emails. He does have household duties such as going to HEB. And so, you know, he would like to be able to go at least once a week to get groceries. We did ask for permission to go to the post office. And so I believe he would like to at least be able to go because he's been having them delivered, which is a fee.
Mm-hmm.
And it costs additional monies to have those groceries delivered. And so he would like to at least be able to go to HEB and pick them up.
All right, that will be denied. Is there anything else?
Good judge.
All right, so you all will be back here on October 9th for jury trial. And we'll go from there. Is there anything else?
No, Your Honor.
What's your name for me, your full name?
Abdul Khalik Abdul Hassan Awad Al-Ansi.
Thank you. You mispronounced his name. I was closer. Thank you very much. All right, so the state has filed a dismissal in your case. And they're saying that they're dismissing it because a witness is missing. So let me explain something to you. You will be released today, and unless there's something else holding you, you'll be released, and it should be within 3 hours, but it'll probably be at midnight because that's just the way things happen. Your attorney probably can call and figure out when exactly you're going to be released. Do not go out and celebrate the dismissal, right? Because here's what I've discovered in my short time on the planet. Even though I'm in the twilight of my life, I've still been on the planet a short time. sometimes things happen for a reason. And you got to sit back and ask yourself, why am I in the situation that I'm in today? All right. And you need to make sure that you're not in that situation again. I don't know any facts of this case. I don't know if you were hanging around with people and things got out of hand, but whatever it is, the people that you were with on this day, you probably shouldn't be with them again. You understand? All right. Good luck to you.
Thank you. I pray for you. Thank you. So
Oh, thank you. I appreciate your prayers.
much. Take care of yourself. Get it together.
You know, the the state has said that she has allegedly over 8 DWIs. Does she allegedly have over 8 DWIs?
That have been alleged, yes.
Okay. No. All right, Miss, are you on docket? Yes, you, female. Are you on the docket? Were you late today?
Yes.
No, you were not. So you need to remove. He doesn't need that kind of support. At least not in court.
Cool beans. Yeah, absolutely.
So yes, we will be completing Oklahoma. So if you see Robert Moore, Mauer, hug him. Give him some sympathy. Yes, sir. Court is calling 2024 CR 6359, State of Texas versus Kelly Cotner. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Daniel Escobar for the state of Texas.
Defense?
George Sharman on behalf of Ms. Compton.
Are you Ms. Cotner?
Yes, Judge.
All right, defense has filed a motion to alter and amend bond conditions. They're asking for removal of the GPS monitor. State, do you have any objections?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, state, what are your objections?
Judge, I believe this is the defendant's DWI, for the protection of the community. I think that the GPS should stay in place. Again, this is for the safety of the community. This is something that it's been an issue where when she gets in a car, there's possibility that she could be drinking. So that's what the state's main concern is.
All right, is she on a ignition interlock?
Yes, I am.
Well, no, excuse me, don't do that unless you're called as a witness. Does ignition interlock address that issue or does it not address the issue?
Judge, again, the word is that the frequency of the DWI is the number is that an ignition interlock on one car doesn't mean that she's completely unable to get into another car. So that's why the state's concern for GPS is also to have that in place to have extra protection.
All right, so how will GPS show she's not in a vehicle though?
Well, Judge, if she has any type of full house arrest or partial, we know where she is, we know what type of adverse, what her blueprint's gonna be. If she's not on GPS and we have no idea where she's going, she can leave her car with the ignition interlock there at her home and then immediately get into a car that's not with the ignition interlock.
All right, so she has put in here, or at least there's a letter attached to the motion stating that she is helping someone go to their doctor's appointments. So do you have any objections to her going to doctor's appointments with
Cool.
someone?
Her doctor's appointments, no.
No. It's to another person, Mr. Eloy Lopez.
Really.
Have you had a chance to to read the affidavit that is attached to the motion?
I have to take this real quick.
All right. So state, did you have a chance to review the affidavit attached to the motion?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you still have your same objections?
Yes.
All right. First question, defense.
Yep.
Is this, the state has said that she has allegedly over 8 DWIs. Does she allegedly have over 8 DWIs?
That have been alleged, yes.
Okay. All right. So you've heard the state's concerns.
Well, I would like Ms. Cotner just to tell you why she needs to do this.
All right. Can you raise your right hand?
Yes,
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. You can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Kelly Cotner.
All right. You may ask your questions.
Okay, Ms. Cotner, just explain to the judge why you need to get that off of you to help this gentleman.
I am currently the caretaker for an elder gentleman by the name of Eloy Lopez Senior. And Mr. Lopez is 87 years old and he has some cognitive decline. And recently I helped him recover. I administered drops and all recovery from 2 cataract surgeries. He loves me like a daughter now. I do everything. I feed him. I wash his dishes. I make sure that he does not have any falls. He uses a walker to get around and he depends on me. And he cries and you know, he really cares for me and I'm enjoying and getting a lot of fulfillment out of helping this man because he genuinely needs this help. He's hard of hearing and when he goes to doctors or stores, I'm very gentle and kind with him and he's not afraid to speak with me and I can understand what he's trying to say rather than a stranger who might not be familiar with him might yell at him and try to understand what he's trying to say. I've been able to do that with doctors, nurses, and secretaries, etc. And this man loves me like a daughter, and I would like to be able to take him in an Uber comfortably and assist him at the doctor's office, at the grocery store where he can pick out his favorite groceries, which I provide for him.
All right, why can't that be done with GPS?
Well,
No, she's on the witness stand. Why can't that be done with GPS?
Well, Your Honor, I've had no violations after 8.5 months on GPS.
No, my question is, why can't that be done with GPS?
Well, I have to put in 24 hours notice for any GPS needs, which
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code.
I've been able to do successfully for any needs of my own. But Mr. Eloy Lopez sometimes thinks right at the moment that he might need.
All right, State, with regards to her testimony, do you have any questions?
How long have you been employed by Mr. Lopez?
Since January of 2024.
And so far, you've had no issues reporting to probation or to pretrial any type of trip that you take to help him out. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So far, you've been able to accommodate helping him while also being on GPS.
Made it happen. It's been difficult, but yes.
Nothing further to say.
All right, any other questions?
Well, Ms. Cotner, are you asking to be able to take him to other locations that you do not have access to right now?
Well, I have access to, what do you?
Well, in other words, you are in lockdown at home, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if he needs to go somewhere, you can't take him without permission. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Are you asking the judge to allow you to take him where he needs to go without having to contact pretrial services?
Yes, sir.
All right, so this is the court's suggestion. My suggestion is you all step back. I'm not going to remove GPS. The problem is, one, people in my court, I don't allow them to be home healthcare providers, and that's what she's doing. However, she's not been convicted of this offense for the court, so the occupation is her occupation. I'm assuming, hopefully, that the family knows her history before they hired her. So I'm not going to remove the GPS. Y'all need to step back and work on a schedule. And that will be her schedule because she is on partial. So y'all work on a schedule that includes the person that she is caring for. And I would suggest that an address for that gentleman be included in this. All right, is there anything else?
Nothing to say.
I'll get with the state.
Well, that's it for today, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you guys tomorrow at 3:00 p.m. Central Daylight Time for Judge Middleton. Can't believe Thursday's coming, so this week has gone by so fast. So if you're not a subscriber to this channel and you like the content that's on this channel, please consider subscribing to this channel and helping this new channel grow. I have no idea why notifications aren't going out. I'm going to work on that. But until tomorrow, ciao, ciao, ta-ta, and I will see you again soon. Have a good evening, everybody.
Breakdown, you're the one I call. From the mountains high, come down to it all. With your tools in hand, making magic flow. Every broken part, you help me grow. You fix it all, fix it all. You fix it all. Daniel, you make it right. Daniel, everything's right. When I'm falling apart, you put me back together. Daniel, you make it better. From the wires tangled up to the broken dreams, you know how to mend all my scattered seams. With your steady hands, you refill my heart. Every piece that's lost gets a brand new start. You fix it all, fix it all. You fix it all. Daniel, you make it right. Daniel, everything's bright. When I'm falling apart, you put me back together. Daniel, you make it better. Fix it, Daniel. Fix it, Daniel. Fix it, Daniel. Make it right. When the world shuts down, and I can't see clear, you're my solid ground, always drawing near. Never give up on this heart of mine. Put it back together every single time. Fix it all, fixing your hour, standing tall to all you do. From the highest peak, I can see it through. With your care and touch, everything's okay.